name is Sharon Galuski, and this is...
Hey, I'm Sam.
And we're here to talk about WRAP, Wellness Recovery Action Planning. If this is your first time tuning in, that's what this is about. Wrap It Up is about Wellness Recovery Action Planning. In the past several weeks, we've talked about lots of things that have to do with recovery and wellness and the process of a WRAP plan. So just to quickly go over some things we've talked about before, triggers. We know triggers or stressors are those things that, those events that occur that shift us into a different space, right? I'm okay, something happens, somebody calls me a name, or I run into a person, or something happens, and I begin to shift. My mind, my body, my spirit all begin to change. And that's what we talked about last week, which was our early warning signs. And early warning signs are those kind of like tells in poker, where you kind of just do something that lets you and other people know that something's happened, that you've been triggered. You know what I mean? Yeah. It could just be a little thing. It could be your fist clenched. You know, if you're triggered to anger, or a sad looking face if you're triggered towards something else, towards depression or sadness or loneliness or something. So these triggers cause us to change. And those early warning signs are it's just the beginning of the shift, right? We talked about if we can catch ourselves at the trigger space, we are golden, right? If I can catch myself right when I've been triggered and go, okay, I know what's going on here. Let me do this, this, and this to calm down and feel better and get back to happy. That's golden when we can catch it in the trigger.
Yeah.
But even if we catch it in the early warning signs, that's still great because we haven't gone into crisis. We haven't gone to a place where it's difficult to pull ourselves back. Because that's kind of what I got to do. When I've been triggered and I begin to shift, I need to grab a hold of something that can pull me back to happy. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's when we talked about those action plans with the early warning signs. Something we do to reverse that trigger almost. And if we can catch it then, if we can put that plan in place, that when I see Joe and he calls me that name that I really hate and I'm triggered, I can begin to change and shift into my early warning signs, and I recognize that there's something going, that I'm upset. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and having different, I guess a way like different levels, right? Like dealing with the triggers, obviously the earlier we catch it, the better. So that's why it's so important to recognize, your individual triggers and your individual early warning signs. And we have different plans. They may be similar, but different plans for the different, level of emotion or feeling that we need to combat, or deal with.
Because my reaction to Joe might be different from my Uncle Larry. Right. We talking about my freaking Uncle Larry. Yeah. But it's you build in the activity that's strong enough to pull you back from whatever that reaction was. Right. If I'm just a little, I don't know, somebody said something, I get a little pissy. Right? That's not so bad. I can pull myself back from that. But if I get into rage, it's a lot harder. So if I can catch myself in the beginning and put those things in place, and every trigger, every early warning sign, it does good for me when I've got an active action plan to put into place at that point.
Yeah, for each individual sign, warning, having that specific, action to take. So you're not just, I think, so you're not just responding on emotion, but you're reacting in a, a pre-planned, thought out way.
Or to respond rather than to react.
Yeah. That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, I go. That's okay.
So So after early warning signs, right, we try to catch it there. That's great. Say we get past that point, it takes us into what we're going to talk about today, which is when things are breaking down. Now, I guess, when things are breaking down, it could also be called a relapse or a setback, or just a breakdown, and that's gonna it's gonna be different for everybody, Me and Sharon were talking before we came on. It's like a relapse for me may be different than a relapse for her, So we have to look at that and know ourselves, in order to be able to recognize, when it's an early warning sign versus when things are breaking down.
Yeah.
Because anger, like for me, an early warning sign is getting frustrated easily with people or frustrated with situations that I normally wouldn't. When things are breaking down, I think that moves more into anger than frustration. I'm past that point of just being frustrated, and I have what I would call misdirected anger.
Yeah.
So it's very similar.
Yeah. It's like our power is being taken away from us a little bit at a time. The longer we let this go, the more power is being sucked from us.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So and that's what we want. We want to keep that power. Right. I want to be able to make that choice every day. This is what I want to be doing right now. I want to be in the present. I want to be joyful. I want to be enjoying time with Sam while we're here. Right. So what's going to stop me from that? If I'm triggered, then I've got to have a plan.
And I think, something else with when things are breaking down, it's definitely, it's an emotional, spiritual, it could be everything, physical, mental change.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's so noticeable that people in your support network, people that are close to you, are going to recognize, right? Like if for me, like when things are breaking down, maybe I start trying to think of something, like start smoking pot, right?
Yeah.
I'm not, drinking or doing anything else, but I start smoking pot, and that's a sign when things are breaking down. My partner, my family knows, like, oh man, Sam, smoking pot again. This isn't good. We better talk to him. That's where your support network can come in, and support you in that moment to make you think about, like, what are you doing, and why are you doing it?
And I think the further we get into that, like you said, everybody's early warning signs and everybody's when things are breaking down signs, advanced signs, are different. Where, like, if someone were to drink, that could just be an early warning sign. They're stressed out, they're drinking, or they're drinking more than they usually do. For me to drink is crisis. That's me at the end. That means I'm in serious trouble. People got to step in. And like Sam said, people know us. We are not as we think we are. People do see us, right? And the people that know me know a lot of my early warning signs, but they definitely know my advanced warning signs. With early warning signs, it's that subtle thing. I am loud and obnoxious all the time, right? I mean, all the time.
Sure.
It's annoying. I annoy myself sometimes. So I'm loud and obnoxious all the time. Now, when I get into a space of when things are breaking down, those advanced warning signs, I get real quiet. And I talk to you like you obviously don't know who I am. It's that different. It is that different. It's a shift in us that is so extreme that it's noticeable by other people, by the people that know us. And when we can begin to tap into that self-knowledge, that's when our recovery really takes off, because then I know I get back to happy quicker. Right? That's my goal. I want to be happy. I don't want to be in turmoil. Right? Get back to content. So the more I know about myself and the more I know about my triggers and signs of change, the better off I'm going to be. That self-knowledge really is power.
For sure. And talking to a loved one or somebody that's close, even if it's a sponsor or peer support or whoever, can be, I mean, quite honestly, life-saving, you know? So knowing that about yourself and taking the time to maybe write it down or just make note of it however you want, but then going to the next step and sharing that with somebody, it could be life-saving, could help pull you through, if you get to this point, because the reality of it is, sometimes even when we're doing we're sticking to our daily routine, we're talking to who we got to talk to, doing whatever, we got to do to stay well. Sometimes things come up and sometimes unexpected things happen and we can go real quick from being good to this point when things are breaking down.
Yeah.
And so, having that, well thought out plan and course of action, how to deal with it is important. Because I know, like, at least for me, when I'm in a situation like that where I am and my anger's up here, and everything's just, not good and I just, hate myself in that moment, it's like, I don't think clear.
Yeah.
So if I don't have a plan or something that's already for me written down, I don't, there's no saying how I'm going to react.
Yeah. My brain doesn't work.
Okay.
It's like being on that merry-go-round when you were a kid, and you push it, you try to fling your friends off. It's the same thing. It just goes faster and faster and faster. And the faster it goes, the less I'm able to grab a hold of something to help me.
Yeah, that's great.
So if I'm able to have those things in place along the merry-go-round, it's starting slow with the trigger, starts speeding up. Now we're into those advanced warning signs, those when things are breaking down. I got to have something that I can grab a hold of. And 9 times out of 10, it's a person for me.
Where do you come up with that?
I know, it's scary in there, Sam. It's scary in there.
I see we have a lot of comments, and so I want to, before we get too far ahead of ourselves here, let's see. Let me scroll up a little bit. Hey, LaShonda's checking in. She said, my triggers right now, I'm angry because of the pandemic, for sure.
Yeah. COVID is a major trigger for all of us, I think. The isolation, the shift in what we've had, how we've had to change to adapt to the world as it is today.
I feel like my baseline is, you know what I mean? Like, I've learned to live with a higher level of anxiety, a higher level of this, for sure. I definitely agree with you. Kim's checking in. Hey, Kim.
Hey, Kim.
There's just kind of chatting it up. Everybody's talking about holidays, Christmas. Darlene's checking in.
Hey, Darlene.
Hey, Amanda. Yep, we got the restream all figured out.
Woo-woo.
Killing it. All right. Thanks for all the comments, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So, where are we at?
The
merry-go-round.
Yeah, the merry-go-round. So when things are breaking down, when I get to that point, I could be in serious trouble. This is, when I think of that, when things are breaking down, that advanced warning space, I think of the 2-minute warning like in football. 2 minutes till I lose my shit, right? Something's going to happen very quickly if I don't do something different, right? Because that's how it is. That's it. We go faster and faster and faster until we get into chaos, which can be crisis. And I want to stop it before it gets there, But what are some ways we show? What are some indicators of when things are breaking down for you?
Well, like I said, I think my biggest one is misdirected anger, right? Getting angry, and it's usually with the people closest to me.
Yeah.
Which is hard. It's hard for me to say it because it's like, when I feel fine inside, it's like, of course I don't ever want to hurt that person or hurt those people, but the reality of it is, you know, when I'm in that headspace, you know, I'm not thinking straight and don't, you know, all I can do is recognize it and try to fix it, move it forward. But I think, you know, that's my big one. And then, you know, I feel like I always live with some level of anxiety, but, you know, it only, like, for me, like, I can tell when it's getting a little worse than normal, a little higher. So I think that's increased anxiety, and oversleeping. I think for me, like, I usually don't have a problem sleeping. So my problem is getting up in the morning when I'm in not a good place, is I don't even want to deal with the day. I don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't want to get up. So it's easy for me to just get up a little later, you know, and keep falling back asleep, or just laying in bed awake, playing with my phone or doing whatever, just because I don't want to get up to face the day. So I think those probably three are my big signs when things are breaking down.
Yeah, those indicators. Yeah, I'm with you with the anger. I get really snappy. And that's not generally how I am. I'm generally not short and sarcastic and that kind. When I start getting mean, I know I'm in trouble. When I start thinking mean, before it comes out of my mouth, I need to do something. Because my intent is not to hurt people. I don't want to hurt people. You know, I don't want to be hurt, and I don't want to hurt anybody else.
I want to see what some of the other signs that they talk about, just to kind of give a more of an example. These are all things that other people have shared in rap groups for what their signs are of when things are breaking down. So maybe, you know, I'm sure I'll be able to relate to some of them. Lying, pacing around, and then here's abusing substances, and like, I'm the same as Sharon. If I start abusing substances, I'm past when things are breaking down. You know what I mean? That's for sure. Having outbursts of rage, panicking, extreme isolation. Again, I think that for me is a crisis. You know, if I'm isolating like that, being argumentative, having nightmares and or flashbacks. Feeling disconnected from my body, becoming quiet and reserved, being clumsy, being nervous, unable to sleep, blaming others, self-injuring, screaming, being in denial.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's whatever we do in moderation, it's intense.
Yeah.
You know, whether that is using a substance, or whether that is anger, or whether that is isolation. What is okay on a normal day for me, when I get to that space, it's so intense that I'm ready to, you know, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble, and I need to have those things to grab a hold of to help bring me back.
Yeah, and you're right. It's in this stage, what we're talking about, when things are breaking down, it's pretty intense, whatever that means to you, you know. But like, some of these early warning signs and some of the things I just read, they might not be a sign of when things are breaking down for you personally. So just, again, this whole rap plan is based around, you know, we know ourselves best, and just to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, and we change.
Yeah,
I get more sensitive the further I am in recovery. So what didn't trigger me before? Nah, I think I'm getting confused. Never mind. Go ahead, Zane. I was going deep in there. It wasn't looking good.
You want to go on and talk about the action plan, you know, and what can we do when these feelings or emotions arise? You know, how do we stop it? Because it can, you know, it's not always an easy task. And something, you know, they say in the book here is, you know, to prevent a crisis, you need to take immediate, intensive, structured, and direct action. Now that's pretty intense.
It's got to be very specific. It's like
Yeah.
it's like being a surgeon and going right for that spot. Where in the early warning signs you can kind of throw it at it when we're in that advanced. You really need that thing that is going to pull you back.
Right. And yeah, we talked about like in the early warning signs, right? You have actions or a action that you must do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have an action or more that you might do.
Mm-hmm.
Where with this, you have more actions that you must do, and you might still have some that you may do, but it's more in the other column of I must do this.
Yeah.
Take this immediate, specific, direct action.
Yeah.
Now to pull myself up.
Yeah. Pull the string on the parachute because that's what you need. I mean, we're spinning. We're so I've got to have something to pull so that I can get back to a place where I feel better. And it's got to be specific though. Yeah. I mean, it literally, for me, because my brain shuts down when I'm in that space, my brain doesn't work. I'm too wound up. I'm too angry. I'm too sad. I'm too something. And it takes something very specific for me to do to get back into feeling more control in my life. Because that's what it is. I'm spinning out of control.
It's hard for me, like, when I was doing my rap plan, it's hard for me to think, like, because I'm not that type of person who's like, I do what I gotta do and take care of myself, but I don't ever, like, have anything, like, set in stone and all this. So it was really hard for me to think of, like, such, like, specific actions, like, well, I think one of them for me was like, I'm going to call somebody, and they're like, well, how many people are you going to call? Who are you going to call? Mm-hmm. How long are you going to talk to them? Mm-hmm. What are you going to say when they, you know what I mean? Like, they're asking me all these questions. I was like,
you can get away with that stuff in early warning signs. I'm going to call somebody. Let me see, who shall I call? And when we're at that spot, when things are breaking down, you better know this is your go-to. Right. This is your go-to for this specific reaction to the trigger, to the situation. And I've got to have that person, and that person also has to understand how to help me.
Sure.
They've got to have a heads up. The one beautiful thing about a rap plan is that it's shared. And what I've learned over the years is when I share what I need from people, they're more likely to be able to give me what I need. So people that know me know how to help me in certain situations. If I get extremely angry, if I get a little angry, I can call my friend Joy because she'll make me laugh, and that'll pull me back. Mm. That's one specific thing I can do. But if I'm in a rage, calling somebody that might try to make me laugh, it's not going to work. I've got to call somebody that knows me, that understands me, that can help me do what I need to do to get back, that knows that path back to feeling better. Right? They know the pathway to get us back there. They're not just running straight through the woods. I don't know where this stuff goes.
No, you're right.
Very visual.
You're right. Somehow I just have to catch up, you know what I mean? But you're right, like, you may know who you're going to call and all this, but I think you said it, but they need to be in on the plan.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because then they can lead you back through the woods.
They know what to do. Yeah. They know the way back, right? Because I've told them, because I called them last week and said, listen, New Year's is a rough time for me. It is likely that I'm going to get triggered over New Year's. I want to call you and let you know, if I reach out to you, please pray with me. Please read me some kind of uplifting information that I can grab a hold of. Come sit with me. They know what to do to help me because we've already set it up. I'm setting myself up for success as opposed to failure like I did all those years. I'm trying to do something different today.
So what's some other things that we can do, so we can call somebody, right? Mm-hmm. I think we could pray alone, pray with somebody. And I was just saying, as you were talking, it comes down to like, so with praying, you know, like it's like, well, where are you gonna pray? You know, for how long are you gonna pray? Maybe
what prayer?
Yeah, what prayer? Yeah, there you go.
I mean, is it going to be because with me, this is not the time for the free flowing prayer of the evangelistic. No, I need our Father who art in heaven. I need to get myself calmed down again. Right. You know, or it may be the exact opposite for you. You need that free flow of just talking to your higher power, and that structured prayer just doesn't work in that situation. Yeah. See, it's all up to us and our own experience on what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, like I think for me, when I get like this, my go-to thing is just to go walk.
Yeah,
I like to just be alone, and when I walk, you know, I really think about like my feet, you know, hitting the ground. I think about like I just like. I don't know. It brings me into that moment, and I'm outside. Being outside is a big part of my own wellness. So it's like, for me, and thinking about the specifics of it. Like my specifics are, you know, go outside, be alone, or with my dog, you know, and just focus on what I'm doing. Focus on walking, clear my head. You know, I'll do some breathing exercises as I'm walking.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't have anywhere that I'm going in particular. But I just walk until I can feel, you know, after breathing and after counting my steps and all these different things that I do, I can feel myself, you know, calming down and relaxing and all this. And then after that, that's when I may, you know, reach out to somebody, call them, whatever, for me, you know. So I think just, you know, again, whatever, we're all different.
Yeah.
You know, and
music for me is big.
Yeah.
Like for early warning signs, music is something upbeat, you know, something in my car with the radio turned up, you know, somebody's got to be a little agitated. That works. If I'm at that space where I'm spinning out of control, I've got to have a different kind of music. I've got to have calming music. I've got to have specific music that feeds my spirit, that can help me remember who I am, not who I used to be, because I don't want to be that anymore. I want to be who I am today, and I want to live in recovery, actively. Wow, we got a lot.
Yeah,
everybody's talking today. Cool. Nikki.
Yeah, LaShawn, I was just reading some of the comments. LaShawn was saying anxieties I have to decide on about taking the vaccine. Yeah,
yeah.
I hear you. It's a lot of.
COVID really has kicked it up a notch for me. Like you were saying before, that general anxiety has been intensified as a result of how we have to react to COVID now. You know, how we have to interact with each other now as a result of COVID.
And then Christy was saying exercise on there, you know,
Definitely.
that's like for sure. You know, I think exercise is a big one for.
Well, it's the difference between a walk and a run. You know, a walk. If I'm early warning signs, a walk is good. If I'm at that space where things are spinning, you know, I'll go about 4 steps like this, but you know, but I need to get that energy out of me.
Yeah. It's that
so
release.
It needs a little more intense.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's intensity with intensity. If I have an intense reaction to something, I need an intense action plan to go along with that.
So look, some of the other things that they have, you know, just to get people thinking is like, you could seek, you know, medical or mental health care, you know, talk to a sponsor, mentor, recovery coach, or whoever. Scream, you know, they have scream for 5 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever. It's just that, again, it's just that release.
Yeah.
Just like you were saying with running, you know, just getting it out, you know, being done.
Sing at the top of your lungs.
Sing, yeah.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, and then they have some of the, like, the more common ones, journal, meditate, just take a break, you know, just take a break and breathe for a little bit. And going through and doing everything on your daily list, but revising it if you have to. So just kind of things that you normally would do, go back and maybe, circle a couple that, like for me, like meditate,
Yeah.
Maybe I need to do that when things are breaking down.
Yeah.
I like to do walking meditation, but it's hard for me to just sit when I'm in that
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Yeah, I do a lot of shaking and twitching.
I pace.
A lot of energy is in me at that space. There's just a lot going on at that moment, and I need to have a plan of action. Last week we talked about an actual wellness toolbox. Can I jump in that now, or should we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about an actual physical box full of stuff that can trigger me back to a positive frame of mind. Okay, so in my living room, I've got a box, and in there I've got DVDs, funny movies that I love. I've got music. I've got chocolate. Good to have in there. Pictures, cards, and letters. All these things that rocks that I've gotten from places that I've really enjoyed going to. And when I'm in that space where my brain is shutting down, this is really when I need that box.
Yeah.
To go into my living room, open up that box and pull something out and go, okay, I'm losing my crap right now. Okay, I want to put this movie in. Let me see if this will calm me down. Let me see if this will calm me down. I put it in and it begins to work. I put my hand on something because my brain wouldn't work. So the more I reach in there, that one didn't work, let me put some music on. Let me smoke a cigarette. Let me eat some chocolate. Let me have all my list of my go-to people on there so I don't have to think, who can I call? I don't know, who can I call? Who should I call, Sam? I got so many people to call today. There's my list.
And then it's too late before, having that list, having that specific plan is so important. And it kind of brings us to the last thing is, so what do we do when this breakdown's over, right? So assuming that we dealt with it, we pulled some of our tools out of the box, or we took a walk, we call it, right? So it passes. We made it through.
Yeah.
What do we do after it's over? How do we learn from it? What questions do we ask ourselves? So hey, if this happens again, how can I maybe avoid it, or did I deal with it the right way?
Yeah.
Did I deal with it how I wanted to? What can I fix? So it's like maybe when you're done, right, you put that movie in, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So then you go back and think, well, why didn't the movie work? And maybe it was just that specific time.
Yeah.
Or maybe you need to look at putting a new movie in. So just
Shifting it out, getting more tools. These tools, this wrench doesn't work anymore. I need a screwdriver.
Right.
Whatever it is, I need that tool specific to that task. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the more tools I have, the more of an arsenal I've got.
For sure.
But when it comes to those overwhelming, when things are breaking down, remember, be specific. Have your specific go-to for that specific reaction.
Yeah, and just don't be. Things change, and we change and we grow, and so I think this last part of reviewing how you handled a situation, whether it be an early warning sign, your response to just a regular trigger, or your response to when things are breaking down, it's important to kind of sit down and look at it and be okay with changing your plan if you have to.
Yeah.
It's
just simply taking a step back and going, okay, what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, my cousin always says, call me whenever you need anything, just call me. I'll call my cousin, he doesn't help me. Okay, I'm going to mark him off my list. I'm not going to do that next time. It doesn't work for me. Why am I going to try to do things over and over again, expecting different results? I spent a lifetime doing that. I want to do things today that work. So I want to find those people. I want to reassess after an incident to say, okay, what worked in a situation? Meditation does not work for me when I am angry. I cannot own it out. It ain't going to work. So I've got to have those specific things, right? And what works for you may not work for me. What is evidence of when things are breaking down is going to be different for all of us,
Yep.
based on our past experience, based on our resources, based on the people, our support people. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Are all, all different, and
Yeah.
all are going to have different, rap plans if it's something you choose to do. And yeah.
And the cool thing about a rap plan is it's a living document, so that at any time that I'm going have gone through a crisis, I can pull out that rap plan and really look and say what worked, what didn't work, who showed up, who didn't show up, where did I go that helped, where did I go that didn't help. All those specific things are in there, and a rap plan actually lets me be so specific that I get to choose where I go, that I get to choose how you interact with me in the most beneficial way. See, because I can put things in my plan that say, please don't speak to me in a loud voice.
Yeah.
That doesn't help me. I'm getting off track. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. But you're right. The more specific you can be, the better. That's the one thing I learned when I did my rap plan. With a rap facilitator, it's like the more specific, the better.
Yeah.
Because it's the less that it's less that you have to think about when you're in a situation where you may not be capable of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think we covered everything we got today with when things are breaking down. And the next would be a crisis, right? I think.
Yeah. We'll talk about what a crisis is. What it looks like, how it feels, and what to do with it. Next week, that may be a couple weeks actually. Yeah.
I think it'll be at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll talk about a crisis and then post-crisis and also. Cool.
So we're getting there. We're getting through this rap plan slowly but surely, and I hope that we're helping you identify some things that can help. Again, my goal for me is to be joyful and peaceful. I want to be happy. So the quicker I can get back to happy, the better it is for me. So I want to have a plan in place that can help me go from reaction to response. I want to respond to things today. I don't want to blow up and react anymore. I want to have a plan so when things are difficult for me, I know what to do. And my people know what to do too. You want to see if we got anybody else on there?
Yeah, for sure. Let's see before we. Oh, Christy is just saying that we rock. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you, dear.
Cool. Well, we appreciate all the comments today, guys, and everybody for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for being out there.
We'll be back next Tuesday at 1:00.
All right, wrap it up. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Have a great New Year's.
That's right. Have a good holiday. See you.